This is Tommy, my co-founder. I'm Tilman, and yeah, we are here today in order to talk a bit about Amorevino and the challenges we have been facing and the challenges we will be facing, mostly using software. So we have basically founded Amorevino because we never bought the right wines. Wine is a very complex, very complex product, and we try to simplify it. We try to make it approachable. We try people to get the chance that they can sort of enjoy it and appreciate it even more. We are now serving a couple of thousand of customers. We have a subscription model where our customer gets wine every month, 2 or 3 bottles every month, with some, nice services around. We have our own campaigns along newsletters. We have our own description of the products so people can really get to enjoy the product even more. And as time flew by, we turned into a proper wine club where we experienced that it's very much about the club and a bit less about the product itself. So we obviously tried to keep our customer and make our customer super happy with our services. And we always tried to put it in front. Whereas in the wine business, usually the product is very much in front. So in order to make that happen, we had to face many challenges, many of which are software based. So we thought of face these challenges, became a software company without even knowing it, just in order to operate our wine club. We had to take a look at fulfillment, at storage, at CRM, at PIM, and so many more. And we sort of overcame challenge by challenge and challenge by challenge. And somehow it now turned out, also because of the Corona crisis, that there are many potential wine club users out there who need solutions for them to run their businesses. So we think that anyone can create a wine club. Anyone can even create another club. So you can imagine this to become like the OnlyFans for wine. We imagine it to be super easy in the back end and very attractive in the front end. We are starting with a mobile app where users make sure they never forget a wine they drink, where they learn why they like the wine they like, and that they discover more wines. And on the sort of back end, towards the wine club or towards the potential wine club provider, we want to try super simple, out of the box software solutions for him to be able to run it. And we imagine a perfect world where each and every one of us can just go out there and say, listen, I don't know much about software. I don't know much about wine either, but I might have an audience and I would like to create a club where we can get in touch. And now going a bit further into the software direction, I'm going to hand over to Tommy, my co-founder, and good friend for quite a long time, I have to also add, who's going to talk you through our experiences with Ory and the challenges we're facing.
Yeah, precisely. Thank you, Tilman. And yeah, so when talking about, having solved several issues by building software for ourselves and then offering that solution to others, those are two very different implementations of software. And we're now taking baby steps towards that. And as Tilman mentioned, we really want to create a platform where users can board either as a consumer or as a wine club creator and connect. And so we have, along with just the challenge of providing the software, we also have a challenge of attracting those two audiences and interfacing them in an ecosystem which flourishes with engagement. And so we're tackling many different challenges, and the way we approach those are we try to take one at a time, and we want to make small steps and small iterations, and we choose our software accordingly. And so our stack basically, as of now, consists of Flutter for our front end. So we'll be able to deploy to multiple platforms, the iOS and Android. We then have an API which serves those front ends and basically communicates data, and the API and in turn communicates with our database or sort of serverless backend, which is based on Firebase and Firestore. So traditionally, how we would use Firebase and how we used Firebase for a while was using Firebase Auth and connecting our front end directly to the database. There's a lot of benefits of doing that, but there's also some downside. And typically, so we have Firebase, which provides like a stream we could subscribe to, and we'd have access to any session information. So if the user will remotely sign out, we can then just collapse the application. We also have access to the user object, and by design, the Firebase database is set up to create a user document which holds the user ID, the unique user ID, which is served by Firebase Auth. So we, apart from the user object served by Firebase Auth, we would also have access to the user document. And with now using Ory, the setup looks a little different. So we use the Ory Cloud console, which has Kratos available. So we're a completely cloud user of Ory. And we basically connect our front end to the Ory Kratos public API, where the users can either sign up or sign in and get a token, which we then pass on to our API, which validates the token against the Kratos admin API. So this is a little difference with you know, authenticating or authorizing the user. What's interesting for us is that we have access to the user object without having to make any request to the database. So due to the user schemas we have in Ory, we could add certain information in there, which we perhaps would need for our API to connect to the database or to sort of get access to certain documents. We could store that in the Kratos admin API, which for us is very convenient because we wouldn't have to make a request to the user document, and we could create sort of our own schema which is necessary for us to operate. So there's definitely something we like about the Kratos cloud. Then when it comes to security rules, so Firebase uses security rules, which you would have up on your Firebase console, and the markup basically just matches documents and matches request data, and then either gives access or doesn't give access to data from the database. What's interesting with security rules is that you can also make requests from within the security rule, but it's basically it's just a script. And you could, for instance, make a request to the user object, to the user document, and look for a value that says the user is an admin. This is something that would be very convenient if you want to build complex rules about who can access what, especially when multiple users are in the mix and they're interacting sort of on the social platform. But it comes with a downside that each of those requests, of course, like have costs associated with them because Firebase is basically usage-based. So this is something we would ideally solve with Kratos on one end. So we could, have in the user schema, give the user a field where it says the user is an admin, and we'd already save money on making those requests from within the Firebase security rules. Another thing we're looking forward to is to implement Keto. I'm not too certain on what the roadmap is, on whether Keto will, whenever it will be available through the cloud console. But one thing that is particularly interesting to us, instead of having the Firebase security rules sort of define who can access data to the database, we could use a service like Keto, which then in turn would also further secure the database, but also reduce complexity from having a simpler interfacing, and also reduce costs for us, because we would then again further decrease reads to the database, which would cost us money. Another thing that's interesting to us is, because of the nature of our project, we'll have many user-to-user interactions, and we'll have users that create posts or reviews, and we want to sort of understand how those users can interact with each other. And given the nature of document-based database, along with Firebase security rules, this can get extremely complex, whereas a service like Keto would have a more graph-like implementation of access management, and that would again reduce the complexity for those kinds of systems. Another important factor for us is when we start adding services to our application. So for now, we've only been talking about sort of our Firebase backend, which is a database and storage. But when we start adding services like invoicing, where we use a third-party provider, we would have a hard time routing that traffic through Firebase security rules, whereas with something like Keto, we could do that directly there and have all our services, which make up our backend, managed through one access management. So although Keto is not available yet for us as cloud users, we definitely see the potential of that for our business. And looking forward, I think that's one of the decisions that also, or that's one of the factors that drove our decision to go for Ory, to the entire ecosystem of what's available or will be available down the line. Talking of which, another one is Hydra. So I think Hydra, of the tools most of you know, I think for us is one of the most interesting. So say we have a lot of user information and we have a lot of user preferences, so we know which sort of wines our users like. We could then provide this information to third-party e-commerce stores or websites or applications through a button that says sign in with Amorevino. This way we can sort of have the identity and the preferences of our users, we can make them portable. And I think that way it will even further increase the value of the information they have and they build with us. So say they sign up with Amorevino in a third-party wine shop, and this third-party wine shop, they can sort of request through, let's say, a taste API, will user that sign in with Amorevino, will they like this wine? And we can give them like a score back. And this is, I think, a very interesting aspect of Hydra that will actually enable us to even grow from, or even grow further than within our own application, and to empower users to have a portable identity which they can use with other merchants or wine shops, and have sort of their taste score come along with them. So I think in terms of empowering the business model, this is one of the most interesting products we're looking forward to. And yeah, that's another one which really excites us about the Ory Cloud. And I believe we'll see Hydra sometime next year. and we'll definitely be one of the first to test it out as soon as it's available in the cloud. And yeah, so we didn't get too technical today, but we do have a community project which our two colleagues, Benjamin and Sasha, developed. So all of the stuff we've been talking about using, the Ory Kratos cloud and having a front end and back end. So we have basically 2 blog posts which will go up on the Ory blog, along with 2 YouTube videos which will also go up on the Ory YouTube channel. And our 2 developers basically will walk you through of setting up the entire thing we mentioned. It's, I'd say, you can get that done in, I'd say, less than 10 minutes. So you have a GitHub repo which you can clone, read the tutorial on the Ory blog and create a Ory Cloud console account. I believe there are 4 attendees of the Ory Summit. You can create a free account, so you could ideally make use of that directly and plug in your credentials into the project, and check out the cloud, Ory Kratos cloud, and our implementation of it in Node.js and the Flutter front end. Yeah. Other than that, I think
that was hype.
Yeah, that was hype.
Reach out for questions towards Benjamin and Sasha, and they can't wait to help you out with anything.
Yeah, exactly. So they will be available in the community Slack, and you can also just write them or connect with them directly on GitHub, and feel free to create issues, pull requests, whatever you like in the community project, and take it for a spin.
Yeah, another very important information on that side is, if you're looking to work for probably the coolest company to work for, it's jobs@amorevino.com, where your CV should be going right now. And another very important note, probably these are the 2 most important notes, is we're fundraising right now. We're starting officially on Monday, so already. In case you have any cash left, get out your checkbooks, send me an email, reach out through LinkedIn, and then let's talk about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.